Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is Alisha Braché, and this is Cosmic Gateway. This is October report, so this may be a little bit extended. I did put out to everyone if they had any specific questions. I collected a few. I'm not sure if I collected all of them, so I do apologize in advance if I haven't addressed your question. It was a lot more than I expected. So, what I would encourage you to do is perhaps place any comments that I may have overlooked in the comment section below. And what I plan to do throughout the month of October is to create shorter videos addressing specific topics and maybe even going into practices that we can do to help around whatever those topics are. So I look forward to creating more content with you as we move into October. I hope that everyone is doing well. So there will be I've got pages and pages of notes of observations and things that I wanted to share and express that I have been noticing as we've moved into October. Of course, we'll do the intuitive guidance insights. I have prepared the dragonfly artwork, which I really feel that the month of October is being able to attune our fine senses to be able to connect with the non-physical realm in whatever way that looks like. So if that's connecting with perhaps loved ones that are across the veil, checking in. It could be our higher aspects of us that we're trying to integrate. It could be uh, extraterrestrial beings, galactic star beings. They all, for my understanding, a good portion of them all reside in the same energy and consciousness and that bandwidth. And I'll maybe go into a little bit of what I have experienced slight portions of as we moved out of September into October, and it feels like it's increasing now, which is an energetic overlay of what I would consider the new earth to be, or maybe other terminology would be like the organic overlay, the original earth blueprint of where we're transitioning into. And I've noticed this on days, even not necessarily feeling a high, vibrant, energetic state within myself, but just being out in nature. I've literally seen, and the first time I saw this was in 2017, but to access that state, I had to go into a deep breath work to be able to access it through the visual, um, to be able to access it visually through my not my psychic senses, but my actual eyes. What I have noticed and witnessed is this merging and integration of that timeline or that template of the earth coming in as we're it's like pressing and helping dissolve these lower timelines of chaos and destruction. And I'll go into that in a little bit. But it feels like there's this pressing in effect that has been occurring. And it's been really delightful because when I've gone out in my walks in nature, I've literally seen this almost like this it has like an iridescent, almost radiant rainbow light glow to it. And it's superimposed and it's sort of pressing in down. And when I connect with that, it instantly expands my heart space. I feel an uplift in my energy. It's like I'm connecting to that version of myself that already exists in that space. And what I have noticed is there is a lot of people that may have passed that are present on that timeline in physicality. But there's also a lot of other types of beings that are present in that space too. So, non human, like terrestrial beings that are integrating into society in some capacity and form. And that's been really interesting because that's not something that I've really thought a lot about or even had dreams about, but it's something that I have witnessed several times over the span of the last couple of weeks. So I'd be interested to hear if anyone else is having similar experiences. This is not in meditation, this is not in dream space. This is literally, I guess it's a meditative practice being out in nature, but literally seeing that dimensional level physically start to materialize only slightly. It's only there for a short period and then it disperses. But I can definitely feel and sense that there's so much clearing work that has been done, especially since sort of July up until now, that we're starting to yield the results of being able to access that newer timeline in a more tangibility. I think I put out earlier in the year that by November we would be having much more tangible connection to that new earth as it starts to terraform. And I think as we move through this month of October, there's going to be a lot more. Obviously, I don't need to cover that things are going to get more and more crazy in the world, the political, the economical. We've already started to see the chaos sort of erupting in all pockets, in all crumbling aspects of the dismantling of the old world. And I think as that continues, we get to pick and choose which frequency bandwidth we want to bring our attention and focus to, and that's going to be our most predominant experience. And we'll still be able to tap into both, but I think this month in particular is a turning point to really hone in our attention and focus to our destiny timeline that goes into the ascension timeline of humanity, and try to disentangle any unnecessary attention focus energy or energetic cords that may be still connected into the old. Because I think that simultaneously, as a lot is being crumbled and dismantled, a lot of us are being called to step into that octave to really start to cultivate and create new. And when I talk about the new, I've had for probably the last 6 months almost, no, maybe not quite that long, maybe 3 or 4 months, a lot of very, very futuristic dreams of new technology coming for us to work with. And I think by the middle of next year, I'd say the first quarter into the middle of next year, I think that there is going to be a release of new technology that is going to help us create some of these things to the next level. I'm not talking about AI. Well, no, I don't see it necessarily as an artificial intelligence. I see it as a super conscious intelligence that is of a higher vibratory state, that is working with our consciousness to create something that we haven't been able to in our creative capacity, that kind of works with technology. So it kind of looks very holographic. And if I think about it, I've probably been having dreams about some of this technology for years, but it's become a real focal point. So once again, if you're having any downloads or access into that, I'd love to hear about it, because I don't yet have the words or terminology um to put it in the English language, simple English language yet. But I do feel like that's sort of coming. So October itself always seems to be very high focus month around a lot of solar activity. And as you can see, I have been a bit delayed in recording this video. We've had two very, very strong, significant solar flares already kick off, and we're not even through, the first week of October. So we've had the strongest solar flare for this solar cycle 25. I think it was a 9.05 that came in last night as I'm recording this on the 3rd in Australian Eastern Standard Time. I think it was around 10:30 p.m. And what I'm noticing with this, especially for myself, I'm noticing two things. First of all, it's creating a lot of instability. Sorry, not instability. Well, insomnia. So I'm almost noticing that I'm flipping into more of a nocturnal aligned state. I'm finding that I'm much more connected and inspired, especially when those flares are coming through. That's where I feel like that's a lot of, and really utilize the opportunity that we have with the solar flares coming in, because they do bring with them inspiration, connection to our higher self, and higher level consciousness for us to really access higher timelines. So when our energy is clear and purified, that sends the signal to be able to bring in those downloads and to really embody those codes that are coming through. If our energetic system is not clear, it's going to really highlight where the blockages are within our energetic channel. So this one, for me, how I have noticed it is really pushing a lot of energetic debris that have been held within the lower chakra system. And that is for the vast majority of client sessions that I've been witnessing over the last several months, is a lot of people are working through stuck energetic discord patterning, a lot of ancestral clearings that have been occurring, and just clearing out old timelines. I think that there are two particular highlighted timelines that we're clearing, which correlate back to 2017 and 2021. So if they were significant years for you in terms of a turning point, I know for me in particular, they were two very big turning point years. And I think we're in that right now. I think 2021, I've said to so many people, I think a lot of people are experiencing brain fog, fatigue, lack of inspiration, feeling very disconnected, feeling out of sorts, not having a lot of uncertainty, a lot of instability. And I think that happens when there's a bit of a shakeup and a change in the trajectory of our timeline. And as we move through that, there's a lot that's kind of being disentangled, unplugged, cleared out. But what I'm noticing is pushing up and clearing out through the heart. So that both times when we had those big solar influxes, I felt them 12 hours before. I felt the energy start to ripple and vibrate within my body, which was really nice because I haven't had that sensation for a while. It's been a bit of a hard slog for the last 3 to 4 months. I'm not going to lie. And now I'm starting to come back online in a much more expansive way and having a lot access to a lot more information than I did while going through it. And that's always the way, right? In hindsight, like looking back, we can start to make sense of it once we come out of a phase. But while we're deep in the trenches, there's no clarity. And I think it's designed that way because we have to work through the very uncomfortable humanness or the human level of what we're moving through. So there's a lot of heart clearing and heart purification. And I do think that that is in preparation for what's to come in November. I do see, and I've had visions for about a month now, that a lot of people are being prepared right now to have a next level soul integration, which is what I call a soul walk-in upgrade. This is not a switching or changing of souls. This is an upgrade of our own higher consciousness coming back into our body or integrating into our body, which that then really opens up and shifts and changes our timeline. When we can hold more consciousness here in our most predominant timeline in the physical, that's where we're open up to clarity, forward movement, inspiration, ideas, collaborative efforts. So two key themes that were told to me about October through dream space as we're moving through was opening of unexpected doorways. And to I think the best way that we can access that is when we're really in a state of neutrality, but also in the present moment. If we're too focused on energies concentrated on the past or, the uncertainty of the future, or based on our consciousness level of projecting into the future forecast, it's not going to work. That's where we have to be really open in asking to embody being in the present moment, because that's where the unexpected opportunities are going to arise, which is going to take us to the next step forward. And I think a lot of a lot of very pleasant surprises coming our way, unexpected news, unexpected windfall. And I did get that this is the merging or marrying at the beginning of new collaborations starting to take place. So looking forward to what that brings for the month of October. But I think, yeah, preparatory state for these upgrades that are going to start. I think we're even going to start to feel the effects of that as we move through into the second half of October. But really, when I've been feeling into October and November being the height of the energetic pinnacle of 2024. and that's really going to set the tone and the trajectory. Now, I'm not talking collectively, I'm talking about individuals who are really focused on their path. It's going to set the tone for 2025 and where we're heading. So where are we? Haven't even tapped into my notes yet. So let's have a look and see. Okay, so I do expect that we're going to have another upswing event, or a lot of influx of solar flares and high level solar activity. Now, it came into my awareness that we don't have any planets. There's nothing between us and the sun for the entire month. So it means that we're going to bear the brunt of any plasma and cosmic radiation and energies that are coming from the solar activity. There's no planets that are going to buffer that. So it is going to be a lot more heightened, a lot more increased. And I think it's to use that and work with that to our advantage. Um, Now, keep in mind, people who haven't really acclimated to that level of frequency is going to create a lot of disturbance in the field. It's going to bring up a lot of stuff. It's going to bring up a lot of high level anxiety and mental processing for those who haven't sort of gone through and done a lot of clearing. And just, I've already noticed on those days being out in the general public, people who do have a little unstable, it's creating a lot more instability. So just be mindful of that when you're, kind of out there. Um, so as I record this, I do expect over the weekend, so looking around the anywhere to the later stages of the 4th through to the 6th of October, I think we're going to have quite a severe geomagnetic storm and probably some really pretty auroras coming through. And I think that's really going to, like, even as I just say that, I feel like that's really starting to set the tone for October and this more accelerated time, elevated and accelerated timeline that we're stepping into. Okay, so we've just moved through this solar eclipse, the Ring of Fire. This one's closing out the final eclipse for 2024, and this one has been very, very highly concentrated on relationships, intimate relationships. I've noticed this through my sessions. It's bringing a lot of old, outdated patterns, toxic traits, outdated templates of relationship patterning, things that are coming up in a very deep level for us to be clearing and processing out. What it is creating for those that are coming into misalignment or misresonance with their relationship, if people haven't gone or started the pathway of a divine path, a divine connection pathway, I do believe that there is a whole new wave that is starting to kind of come online to that. And so what we may be witnessing over the next couple of months is relationship breakdowns, breakups. And this goes to, as we're accelerating it in this sort of a rapid consciousness into more of a fifth dimensional consciousness and beyond, that is opening up for the restoration of right relationship, ones that come in at a vibrational alignment and balance, those that are destined to work together to share a life, to support welcoming in families. I do believe that 2025, I wrote this hang on, it's an immovable timeline. So right now we're deeply in the testing phase, because what I have been shown in terms of those that wanted information and updates, I got several. So I'm going to kind of condense that into just the observations that I'm witnessing around divine counterparts. This year has been one of a more solo pathway. Those that are in divine connection, I've noticed that even those people who are together have had their struggles, have had their challenges, because we're still working out. So I truly believe that one of the first and primary reasons for divine connections is to break through the matrix, the programming through ourselves and through our collective missions. Once that process has really been I won't say completed because it's still ongoing, but a big portion of that has been completed. That's when we go into the building phase of bridging and bringing in new earth, which is really the time that counterparts start to come together in mass. And I think that what we're opening into as we move out of this eclipse phase and start to move throughout the following months up until February. February marks as like a real highlight point, later February. But I do think that there is a lot more cohesion happening within the dynamics of those type of relationships, because there has been many in the dynamics that I've witnessed and watched. There's a lot of karmic reconciliation that hasn't taken place on individual parts. It was not so much issues around the relationship itself, but the individual journey of going through their own spiritual up leveling and initiations haven't necessarily been completed. So both aren't on the equal playing field. It's very hard to come together into that very heightened, higher love frequency. And I truly believe that that is the remedy that helps us to bring heaven to earth. Ultimately, it is the remedy that we're going to need as we move out of some of these really turbulent pockets that I foresee happening within the collective space as we close out 2024. Bringing in and bridging in that higher love frequency is really going to help give a restoration, rejuvenation, and restoring people's hope and faith in we're moving in the right direction. So it's been a lot about people working on themselves, working on their own internal inner balance. So that's why I have decided that this month's soul journey, I'm going to really focus in on the masculine and feminine balancing. So I invite you to come and join if you feel guided. The details will be in the description below. Because it's about really bringing and bridging our own masculine and feminine energy into equilibrium, which is going to help support the foundation of these partnerships that are going to either come together or go into a deepened state if they're already in a romantic connection, union, or partnership. And there are many that have come together and stabilized this year, and I think that has just created a baseline for more as we move through closing out probably November onwards through to February is where we're going to see the biggest movement in that space. And what was it? Immovable timeline for a vast majority of a lot of couples coming together for 2025 as we're really anchoring then and integrating the new earth timeline in much more physical, tangible ways. Where are we? So just keep in mind that is going to differ from each individual person and couple. Divine union for some will come into their original pair, their twin ship, if you will. And for others, I have noticed we're going through that switch again where people are clearing out timelines of past high level soul connections, however you want to deem that. I do think that we get to critical points and choice points where there may be two on a journey that is destined to move forward, and if one or both decide that they aren't ready, there is a change that happens where someone else will step in that will hold a very similar vibrational match, and it will be a fractal of the same oversoul. It may not be the exact match, but in a lot of galactic in a lot of galactic type counterparts, the frequency is too much to hold on the planet at this point. So sometimes it's switching it up for something that's a lot more stable, a lot more grounded and supportive of the overall mission. So, I mean, feel into what feels right for you. I don't think anyone can ultimately tell you your path, but just can affirm little maybe intuitive hits that you've gathered along the way of perhaps where your counterpart journey is transitioning into. And ultimately, we're here to stabilize that beautiful frequency and to bring in beautiful new earth collaborations together. I just slipped in. Family is very, very highlighted for 2025. So a lot of new earth children are preparing to come in and be born. And I think there's a lot of partnerships that are trying to prepare the space to hold that, for that to come through. Okay. All right. I've covered all that. Where are we? Oh, yeah. The higher template of love is the remedy to change the world and recreate the world. It's much needed more than ever. So even if you're not in conscious relationship or partnership right now, you can still hold and embody that frequency within yourself. That allows the preparation stage for you to step into it in physicality, but it also helps to elevate the collective consciousness as well. Uh, um, all right. think I've I think it's very hard to really see in high definition the future trajectory, because I do feel that there are two more significant collective timeline shifts that will take place before we close out this year. So if we're projecting into the future based on our consciousness and energy level at this point in time, we're creating basically a timeline that isn't in our highest potential. So coming back to that message of being able to stay really, really present is crucial at this point in time. Because I think as we go through, I think we've gone through one, two, just in the last few weeks, there's definitely been an opening or an expansion. And I think I understand why. So going back about a week or so ago, I made a post about being dissolved or obsolete out of the lower timelines. I was shown in dream state that there's about five. It looked like murky water, but there was definite timelines that were sitting on top of one another. And I feel like the last few months, a lot of us have been doing the energetic cleanup work on those timelines for our own individual timeline, but also it ripples into the collective experience. What some of the things that I've noticed on those timelines is clearing out deep level fears around scarcity, poverty, um, uh, uselessness, um, hopelessness, uh, lack of direction, um, and I don't even have I think I labeled them quite specifically in that post, but I can't. Oh, here it is. Give me a second. Um, okay. Scarcity, fear, isolation, separation, and disease. Yeah, I knew there was some others that were pivotal. And so what I had noticed is, especially around the time of July when it was really heavy, I was spending a lot of time in these timelines where there's not a lot of resources, and there's like potential war, disease, which is partly what we're experiencing. But I do believe that when we go to sleep, or other aspects of us um, in our multidimensionality are working to try and minimize and collapse a lot of this. And that seemed to be the most predominant energy overtone. Even if you're not experiencing it in this reality, that has been a lot of the energetics. And so what I noticed while I was in that dream space was I was actually I was completing that work, and I was feeling as though I was being pulled or deleted out of that timeline. And it was at the very bottom one, the heaviest one, which was around disease and famine. And then I've noticed since then, probably in the last week and a half, I'm being deleted out of so the top level layer ones. And what is beautiful is as that has been occurring, I feel like more of my consciousness is coming back here. So I don't feel as sparse and as yes, spread thin as what it has felt. One of the symptoms that I've noticed in coming back more into my body is the aches and pains in the legs. That feels like a very like grounding. And so after those dreams, I've had a lot of aches and pains physically of like embodying more of myself back here in this reality and just feeling much more connected and switched on, which is incredible. um, very, very welcomed. So the 30th of September as was the first real noticeable upswing that I went through. And I think a lot of us are really starting to come back, dial back in and come back online because of what we're going to be moving through over the course of the next few months is we're going to need more of our attention and focus here and now to be supporting of those in the collective and doing our soul work in whatever capacity that looks like. So I haven't really spoken about this, but there is this timeline of the flash that I had experienced myself, not through dream state, not through meditation, but actual physical reality earlier this year. I went through another very big, rapid Kundalini awakening that went on for months. I was in a very heightened state, and it was probably tenfold to what I had witnessed in my initial Kundalini activation in 2025. 2015. I would say the strength of it was tenfold. um, I haven't yet been able to fully put it into words in what I witnessed. A lot of it was very much personal, of my own personal future timeline that I was experiencing. But I did feel and see into a lot of collective experiences when I was moving through that. And one of those visions that I got so strongly was an energy rippling through this entire universe, through our solar system, that had this potency unlike I'd ever encountered. It was like a rebirthing of the entire solar system. The energy looked like pastel rainbow frequencies. Anyone seen that old Earth, new Earth meme where there's like a dulled down version that's predominantly blue, and then there's that hyper color. It's got a lot of pink and gold, and it's got a lot of essence to it. It has a very similar energy essence to it. Um, and I saw that start to ripple through, and it just came through the entire cosmos. And that as it hit and permeated the earth, that was when a lot of people individually went through, will go through, I believe, a Kundalini type of massive activation. Part of the things that I experienced when I went through that was a rapid acceleration in my own psychic abilities, more so than I ever have done before. But I was actually experiencing a higher timeline in like in the physical, not just through perceived visions. Problem was that it wasn't matching a lot of people who hadn't accessed that frequency. I've been through it before, but nothing really prepared me for this. But what I noticed individually within my body was that instant manifestation was occurring. I was literally, things were materializing in my house from moment to moment. So a lot of superpowers coming online in terms of rapid manifestation, thinking of something and literally walking outside, walking back inside, and there it was. Um, I noticed a rapid acceleration in my healing in my body. I was able to heal things in my body almost instantaneously that I haven't been able to. Um, Up until that point, haven't had access to be able to heal things so rapidly and instantaneously. There, um, just yeah, a lot of insight and download, and I want to share a little bit of this because for two reasons. Just before we came into October, I saw a vision of that energy start to come through again. And it was almost like it was peeking through the central sun or at the very far, the furthest point of the universe. And I feel like it's starting to pierce its way and start to make its way through. I feel like we're going to start to receive this frequency, or those who are attuned to the new earth frequency, come November. November's vision, I won't go into it too much, but it was a lot of pillars of light of that particular color and vibration. And it's those that are being able to access it being asked to really anchor and embody that. So that's um that energy in itself has so much potential. And I do feel, and this is something I've been pondering on, of what if there was a vast majority of people who went through that level of Kundalini activation. I do believe that there is a big ascension cycle that has, for my experience, has closed out, because what I was shown in that experience was I was merging two timelines. There was the original ascension timeline, my own personal ascension timeline, where things had dropped off, certain people and particular experiences, and it was almost how do I say this? It was bringing a new level or layer into it. So it was like the merging of two. And I think that was its potency for that. And a lot of it had to do around counterpart connection, new earth children, um, but just the shifts and changes that I believe that we're going to be in real time witnessing. So anyway, I think we're in the process now of starting to access and anchor that frequency as it starts to come through. And it's a magical essence energy. And I know that it's very hard times for a lot of people right now, but I think as we start to connect and embody that, and that's what I was told for the month of October, was really to connect and embody that frequency. Because the more we connect and embody with that frequency, we're connecting to our soul's destiny and that particular timeline. The more of us that bring that through, the more it kind of filters into the collective consciousness. So sorry, I'm jumping around a little bit. um I just there's more solar flares. I'm just going to look back at my notes to make sure that I haven't um okay. So the new insight that came to me the other night, I know that when we go through a rapid acceleration in our ascension process, like a Kundalini awakening or some level of activation, generally what then occurs is we can hold that frequency for a period of time. And that's our baseline level to know when we're the most connected and integrated with our higher self. Vast majority of people can hold that as a like ongoing. It's such a huge frequency. It does a lot to our bodies. It expands us in, contorts us in expanding in ways that we can't even fully comprehend. So we need time to simmer and integrate that. And often what happens is, in contrast, we get dialed down or switched off. We go into what we would call the dark night of the soul, as we can process any energies that are rattling and coming up within us that don't resonate at that frequency, so that we can slowly acclimate to that. What I was shown was slightly different, being a second or third time around, is, and I wonder, I feel like I need to share this because I think that this is going to resonate for a lot of seasoned ascensionist, shall we say. But what it was showing me was that when we're in that state of embodiment, we are, uh, we've merged all of our soul energy and aspects into the one timeline, into here and now. When that doesn't match the timeline trajectory of those that are involved, those that are connected to that, or on a planetary level, if it's not yet time, there will be aspects of us that will fractal back into multiple timelines to prepare the way. So, whatever obstacles or challenges or interference or anything that may come up that is not in alignment with that timeline, there is then our energy goes and fractals into alternate realities to secure that timeline. And that's what I've been shown that a lot of us have been doing. I know that for most part of the year, in my dream space, it's been going and supporting a lot of people to jump to their next level. So, and moving out of those timelines. Now, I want to talk to what I was shown that would happen throughout between September and November, and I think we've already had the first one. So now I'm kind of expecting the second one and what that might look like. So on the 17th of July, no, sorry, June, I was in one of those deep working deadline, got to hit the deadline kind of dream spaces where there was a lot of us that were working to help bring a positive outcome, or not a positive outcome, perhaps to minimize the destruction of three potential global events that would take place between September and November. I was told that the first one was a water event, and I think September has really highlighted huge amount of water events with a lot of the flooding and the hurricanes that have occurred. And my heart, my prayers, my energy goes out to those who have been impacted. I know that it's a big cleanup job, and I really know that if we can put our focus and attention on sending a lot of light into those places, that people will get the help that they need. So I do believe that that was the water event. I don't think that it's maybe ended. I feel like there's a bit of an overlap that will occur. But the second event I was told would be a sky event. Now, I know there's a lot of talks of the two moons. Now, with the two moons, from my understanding, it's not going to be visible to the naked eye. Maybe it's a part of this new energy that's coming through, or that integration of the higher version of reality merging in with this, possibly. I haven't really felt into the second moon and what that means. I know that there are other people that are talking about that in relation to prophecies and events, but nothing's really kind of pinged on my radar for that. I do believe that there is a comet that is going to pass by that's going to go supernova that will be visible. But I have a feeling that a sky event may be more galactic oriented. I don't know if it'll be fully visible to everybody, but I do think that there's going to be a lot more anomalies within the sky throughout the month of October. And I think a couple of nights ago, about 5 a.m., I went outside. I couldn't sleep. And I just happened to look up and, there's a craft. And I've had several of these sightings off and on for the last few months. There's a lot of UFO activity happening in the sky, and I think it's increasing. So is the sky event? I don't know. I don't know. But the third one that I feel will probably be more in November, mid to late November, is the energetic event. And I'm starting to feel now that that's that vision that I saw coming through of that concentrated, really vibrant rainbow frequency coming in, that is part of the renewal and the rebirth that we're going through right now, and bridging that new, or having that new holographic organic experience of the earth coming online more fully. And even as I say that, it feels like it's fleshing out, like it's becoming tangible for those that are in vibrational alignment for that. So I do think that many people are being prepared. I think I've joked to many people that 2024 has been such a deep inner, um, almost isolated year of really deep reflection and a lot of inaction. I feel that a lot of the attempts to move projects forward have really landed, and so it's been just having to go with what or what the themes and trends are, or what energy wants us to do. And I think a lot of in mobility has been a big part of the theme of people just going into their own energetic space. I know that even being around people for long periods of time has been quite exhausting. Um, so it's been I've called it the 2020 for the light worker burnout year. It feels like that. It feels like a lot of energetic overwhelm almost when you do get burnt out. But I think it's in preparation for what is to come. I think there's so much on the horizon that a lot of us have taken inventory, taken stock on where we're at and where we want to head, but just being in this place of stillness, presence, and integrating in the now moment. I feel like our physical bodies are trying to rest and catch up to where this leap or expansion is going to take people. And I think what that is going to bring through is people going through their next level ascension upswing, their next level awakening. And I think it's going to look very, very different to or it's going to have a lot more potency than the original experience. I say this based off my own, but that's what I've been feeling into. Is there is this feeling of this year has felt very stagnant, quite boring, and same old, same old. It doesn't feel like there's nothing. To me personally, it doesn't feel like there's anything inspiring or new that is becoming yet available. I can witness it in my dream space. I can feel it in the energetics, but it feels like it hasn't landed. So everything feels like a bit of a rerun or a rehash. If I'm completely being candid, um, and that's the level of content that's out there too. It's a bit of the same old. So this is a question that I'm going to put out and pose to you. If you have gone through something very, very unique, very out of the box, very much not run of the mill awakening experiences, whether that be through Kundalini contact, um, to the non-physical realm, loved ones, ET beings, experiences of heightened experiences of new earth, spontaneous radical manifestation or healing. I would love to hear from you. I would love to do a series of interviews that could potentially help people prepare for these new nuances of out of the box awakening type experiences. So this may be people who've never spoken before. The only thing I would ask is that you can be able to articulate it in a clear and concise manner, or in a grounded way that is going to give context, understanding, maybe some hope and inspiration to people. So if you do have a story that you feel needs to be shared, I would love to hear from you, and please contact me. My email address will be in the description box below. So I've been playing around with doing a Kundalini series, because I think that I do wonder whether there will be a collective internal Kundalini solar flash type experience that we're leading into around the first quarter of 2025. That that's my kind of take on it, or feel into it at this point in time. That could change. And I have thought about how um out of like the box that is for most people, going through that with having no context. It doesn't have to come in that way, but I was thinking of, yeah, maybe doing a series around that. Anyway, I'll leave that open, and I look forward to hearing if you would like to contact me around that. That would be cool. So, um, All right. So I think I've covered off everything. Yeah, October is the new doorways, the unexpected opening up to infinite possibilities and working in this new state. Um, yeah, I think that's all. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think I've covered everything. Now I'm just going to go into having a look at some of the questions that have come through, and I do apologize if I haven't been able to cover. Hopefully, through my energy update, I've covered off some of the questions that have come through. So the counterpart update, I hope that I have covered that as clear as I can, and maybe if I have new information, I might do a separate video based on that. So Susan has asked, so I'm paraphrasing these because I was going to write, I've written them down. I'm not going to write the entire question, some are quite lengthy. Tips on holding our center in these intense collective energies. And I think that's probably one of the biggest things that we can look towards doing as we move through October. One of the tips and tricks that I like to do is to really just focus on calling all of my energy back into myself. So just setting the intention, having a couple of deep breaths and going into that meditative space and just feeling into my energy field and just calling my energy back in and just coming and sitting, bringing my focus and awareness into my heart space. And sometimes when you're calling your energy back in, you might want to put like a buffer field around your energy so that you're not taking in or pulling in energies where if your energy is being just like, in other timelines, as I was talking about before, maybe just making sure that when you're pulling your own energy in, you're not bringing in collective energies or energies from um, older obsolete timelines. So you might witness that as like kind of like an electric fence line in and around your field as you just start to pull your energy back through that, just purifying whatever isn't or doesn't belong to you, and just allowing yourself to put yourself in a sphere, really connecting into the heart space. And then I've been working with putting myself in like a golden sphere before I go to bed and throughout various times of the day if I feel my energy is a bit scattered. And I've found that that has been really, really effective. So I will put that to you and maybe you can try that out and see. Let me know in the description box if that has been helpful, if you've played around with versions of that that have been helpful and just sharing with people. Um, which I think it leads into another question. Thank you, Roseanne. So, integrating our energy soul aspects with our human vessel so that our creations can materialize into the physical reality. And I think that's a whole part of purpose to ascension when we're holding a stronger energy stream in our physical body. That's where we have the greater potentiality to manifest our highest desires in that timeline. So, one thing that comes up that maybe not a lot of people talk about is the clearing of the physical body is really utmost important. I was told that many years ago in terms of integrating higher new earth energy or preparing for the solar flash. Our physical bodies have to be um, in a the cleanest state possible for us, and that's going to look very different for each individual. Cleaning up gut health, just having access to fresh water is really, really important. But the clearer our body is physically, the clearer our energetic vessel is, the more we can call in higher aspects. And I find that even just doing daily check-ins to kind of call in or connect with our higher self and bringing in a fractal aspect of that as much as what can come in is probably the best way to work with actualizing in the physical reality that. And that brings through a lot of soul memory as well as we're calling in those fractals or aspects, aspected parts of us. Um, so I would suggest, I think that's happening naturally for a lot of people in the next 2 months. So it was a really great question to bring in. Integrating these fractal aspects of us is the whole point of personal ascension. one of the training programs that I'm halfway through teaching right now. And a lot of the stuff that I talk about is in a lot more depth in my training program. So you may want to have a look at some of the courses, and look at the tools and techniques that I deliver in that to if you're really serious about, going through that level of soul integration. Or of course, individual sessions can facilitate that or part of that too. So I hope that that has helped a little bit. Um, mm, okay, so Nadia, opening up to new pathways without the old energetic patterns emerging, getting out of the confusion, the fog, and opening into more knowledge, foresight, information, and downloads. Well, just I guess an extension of what I just shared. In terms of brain fog, I think right now the best thing that we can do in preparing for that is just to go through our cleanses and detoxes. So whether it's parasite or fungal, or heavy metal detox, can be a really good facilitator to get out just from the physical aspect, getting out of the brain fog. Um, and I find that when we go through detoxes, that actually correlates with getting to some of the deeper levels of some of the patterns. I know that when I went through many health crisis and been quite unwell and had to like go through big detoxes, it's really been able to get to core wounding or energy imprints that I've held, to clear and create more space of what I want to bring in and create. But I would say if you don't feel like if you've done all that or you're in the process of doing that, it's not so much a physical thing, but more of an energetic thing. I would say connection with calling back those scattered aspects, a bit like what I was talking about in the energy update. Maybe just tune in to how many aspects of you are operating in multiple timelines. And is that, I think that creates a lot of confusion because that's where our energy is not concentrated in one pinpoint space, but on many, many levels. So just maybe before going to bed or before, I feel like two-part process, like before going to bed, maybe just going through and clearing out, um, just tuning into your body and your field and just clearing and purifying any limited patternings, um, outdated programming, or anything that's held that's not in conjunction to the highest expression. And then, dedicating time to consciously calling back more. And I would recommend connecting with that. I was going to say angelic energy. Maybe that's a thing for you specifically. What I meant was that rainbow energy, that highlight, that rebirthing new earth energy, and connecting with that. So I hope that that helps, or maybe at least gives you a bit of aha so you can work in receiving your own downloads for what is going to be helpful for you. So Ivana, hello. How do we quantum leap at all levels? How do we open to elevated lens of perception? First thing that comes to mind is water is such a great tool for quantum jumping and moving through jumping timelines. So if you can have at least taking stock of where your focus is in your perception of your actual reality right now, and know that that is not your destination, that that is a transitional phase, and having some level of idea of what, not so much your perception of how you perceive your future or greatest elevated experience, but how does that feel in achieving whatever it is that you're working towards. I really highlight the feeling sense because I feel like the intellectual part may be already known by you, but it's really tapping into the subtle energies of feeling. And what I like to do is like stand under the shower and work on clearing and washing away what doesn't dissolve me, whatever's coming up, and just tuning into my energy as I'm under the shower and using the energy of the water as a purifier to clear away and to create space. And then give myself, before getting out, visualizing the frequency of that timeline jump, what it feels like, what it expresses, what elements and components does it hold, um, and almost envisioning that version, that next newer version of myself in front of myself, and taking a step forward into that and just holding that feeling and that energy essence and giving a lot of grace and gratitude for that, and just starting to connect and attune with that frequency. I think by doing that consistently can really start to create shifts and ripples and changes within physical reality. So I hope that that was helpful. Well, we're making our way through. So Simona has asked about the empowerment, how to stay in that energy to assist others, and an emphasis on feeling of liberation because of what's happening globally, and to shift to timelines to connect with soul family, in essence, a level up. I would just reiterate some of the stuff that I've just noted prior to, um, but I think one thing is, I think for the month of October especially, is to hold our own energy of personal empowerment and stay really grounded. This ascension right now is not a race. It's to be, each day more and more stronger, more and more grounded. I would say, like, the first visual that sort of comes to mind is almost from the core aspect or the solar plexus aspect, really empowering that energy center and almost coring it and grounding it into the earth, and using that as an anchor point to make sure that your energy is solid, steady, and stable. Um, and just to be able to feel into that energy of freedom or liberation, expansiveness within yourself, visualizing that unlocking within you and it rippling out into the world, I think is a two-part process to that. I feel by you doing that is helping yourself be in that more expansive state, being strong, steady, and grounded. But I actually think that it's almost going to have a boomerang effect of bringing people into your life that are probably maybe needing assistance, maybe needing a bit of support, some information or understanding or awareness of the craziness that's happening in the world. And I think it's about you really building your own tribe and calling that in, because I think through that, or through the following months, is really going to create, and I think it may be a little bit of a perception shift in what or how that or who that looks like, and just from a very soul vantage point, calling them in and working with, it's like I see this vision of being able to sit in like a circle, and like energetically the soul family are already existing in the energetic space, and as you're interacting with that and calling it in, I feel like one by one they're just going to start to show up. So consciously connecting with that potentiality within the field and calling that in, and then allowing it just to kind of show up in the moment. So I hope that that helps. Okay. Um, Final question that I've got written down, and I do want to acknowledge that potentially I haven't covered all. But Mel said, do we have an organic higher timeline blueprint that hasn't been accessible until now? Have we moved into a space from the unorganic, uh, that we can now choose to align to the organic version? And just simplify that, absolutely yes. I do believe that that is what is opening up. I do think that we have had some level of accessibility to that, perhaps through ritual or ceremony or spiritual practice, but I feel like we're moving into a space where those who are more in vibrational alignment to that frequency of the organic or the new earth are going to start to consciously choose each moment in each day to align with that and to experience it manifest in physical reality. So I hope that answers that. That's just my take on it. I'd love to hear in the comments below if anyone else has any other take on it. Okay, well that's my update and questions answered. Thank you all for giving those questions, bringing them in. We'll move now into the intuitive insight guidance. But as I said, I would love to hear from you. First of all, if you have a very unique story that you feel by sharing is going to help people in some capacity. And secondly, if I haven't addressed all the questions or there are additional questions that you would like me to talk about, I would encourage you to put them in the description box and I'll try and make some shorter videos around that. So thank you, everyone, and we'll move into the intuitive insight guidance. So let's move into artwork A. So this one here, you've chosen this particular artwork. Let's have a look. It was funny, I did a bit of a pre-shuffle and twice the Three of Cups came out. So it'd be interesting if it comes out again. But instantly, when I feel into the energy of this particular card, it kind of denotes some form of celebration, a celebratory phase that you're moving into within your life. It feels like there has been a lot of hard work, a lot of effort that's starting to show or reap the rewards of being able to come back into a state of rest. Because I almost feel like there's been this phase where you've been on high alert. There's a lot of challenges or obstacles that you have been faced with. And this month feels like being able to see the sorry, see or express, being able to much more easily communicate, being grateful for the hard work that has been put in and the efforts that are paying off. Okay, so the first card that we've got, the art card. So this is the Thoth tarot deck. So it feels like whatever artistic expression or ways that you express your creativity want to come through in a much more vibrant way. It feels like there's more space or time in your life right now that you can maybe almost make sense of this past cycle or past few phases that you've moved through that have had particular challenges, and integrating that as an artistic expression in the way you bring that into your work life. So the first card there, we've got the art, and we've got, see the cauldron, how she's pouring her energy, her focus, her intention. She's got the sun behind her. So there's a lot of emphasis on life force energy behind supporting, being able to put into this melting or cauldron, this melting pot of infused creativity, intention. There's a lot of focused intention, I feel, in that. And obviously we've got the lion with the strength card. We've got the eagle that looks at the higher, being able to see from the higher perspective, being able to look back and see things from much more clearly or from a different standpoint, and having the courage and the strength of the lion energy to really help cultivate that. Now, that could be two people in your life that kind of coming in to stand around you to help support this project or creation, but you're really at the helm of that. And it's like your channeling of consciousness and focus and energy and inspiration as being like kind of really poured into a conscious creation of whatever that looks like. And we've got the Seven of Wands, so being able to infuse that somehow into your work life. What do we got here? It feels like type of spiritual level work or next level of elevation in your work that is coming into some sort of a completion point or next level, next phase. And it feels like you've got the strength of the spiritual component coming in high definition. It feels like being inspired by spirit in some way to work with these energies, work with this creative expression in your life. It feels like an integration of next level, new direction potentially, or taking things in a new, different direction. See if anything else wants to. Okay. And then we've got the Six of Swords coming through there. So all about balancing the mind with the heart is what comes up in and around that, to not get over picky or nitpicky around the detail, but allowing it to flow through you naturally and organically. If you get too much in the headspace of the sword energy, I feel like that's going to block or stagnate the flow in some way. But really being able to work with the intuitive component is what brings that extra potency and vibrancy to what it is that you're kind of being able to take a deep breath and celebrate of what is like coming in through your expansion and hard work. This may just be on a personal level, but it does feel like it flows into whatever it is that you do on a daily basis. So it may not be your primary work, it may be your secondary. Oh, cool. It may be your secondary component to your life, and something that you may consider your life's work and not your everyday to day work. So some sort of creative project that's being inspired to go to the next level and to really be appreciated and celebrated for what it is. I knew it was going to come out. The Three of Cups, really celebrated for what it is. And we also had the Fortune card. So starting, wrapping up a cycle, completing a new one that is very fortuitous, that potentially has a lot of wheels or cogs in terms of bringing in new abundance, a frequency of expanding your horizons to maybe move that into your primary level of focus or life or work. But I do feel like there is some sort of gathering, celebration, people coming together, or just people being able to, what's the word I'm looking for? Congratulate you on efforts well done. So that's the first sort of theme that sort of wants to come through for the first card, A. Ooh. Yeah, there's a real right, so we've got the Queen of Pentacles coming through, which to me is very much a right, very ripe, fertile energy of fertility, growth. And we've got the I was going to say the sign of Capricorn there. So the one that does put in the hard work and effort. That could be a companion for you. It could be a sponsor, a work partner, a life partner, but someone who has perhaps predominant Capricorn themes in their astrological chart. But it feels like this side companion is someone that is going to work closely with you to help support moving to the next level, moving up that mountain. But it feels like wherever you're at right now, you've created this beautiful baseline energy that's going to really support the launching into the next phase, and to take time to celebrate the small wins, or could be big wins, um, to really grow and to materialize what is coming forth that's really being powered and charged through you as I almost want to call it like an external consciousness, because it feels like you're marrying or partnering up with an energy or a force that is in non-physical, that wants to make itself more tangible and materialized. So it could be some level of, when I say channeling, I don't mean it in the way that we see, channeling beings and information, but channeling a consciousness in through you as an extension of what you're bringing into the world. So the next two cards that have come up, interesting, we've sort of got gold and pink, and I always see them as like highest timeline potentialities, the abundant and the frequency of love all kind of intertwined together. So we've got energy flows where my attention goes, and I'm unapologetic about what I desire, and I trust that what I focus on will grow. So yeah, real taking that leap of faith and charging, focusing your energy, your attention, and really growing and developing whatever this is for you. It may just be an idea or concept, and then there's like a financial windfall or backing that comes in, or you need a particular level of expertise of something that you don't possess, and then having that resource or connection come in. But it feels like whatever you're stabilizing now or laying down the foundation for is something that's going to accelerate and grow and blossom over the coming few years. So it feels very innovative, um, being a standalone, something that is not run of the mill. It's out of the box, perhaps something that you haven't been able to fully make sense of yourself up until this point, and perhaps it's like more of the pieces of the puzzle coming into your consciousness awareness that um, allows it to come into a form of manifestation. Feels like an activation of some sort within the third eye. So being able to see much more clearly, much more precisely, but from that higher level, not from that human standpoint. As I was saying, it's like getting out of the nitty, um, highly critical way of critiquing your work and seeing it from that higher level consciousness. I'm a spirit having a human experience, and I'm here to get closer to love. Maybe not so much the statement, but the visual representation in this card of the rainbow over the third eye be really stimulated and activated, bringing that energy and essence in feels really potent and really powerful to work with that fertile energies. So it sounds exciting, whatever is coming through. Collaboration, potentially. This may all directly correlate to your personal life too. So take it as it resonates. Maybe this is about, a key relationship in your life, or relationships coming to that next foundational level, and being able to materialize a little bit more, embody, and celebrating some sort of anniversary perhaps, or some pivotal cycle or point on the timeline that is significant that maybe looking back you'll understand a little bit better. It may not be in the moment, but it's like, oh, that was that turning point. These are cards that I don't often play with. So, all right. What have we got here? When I allow others to support me, I support them too. So, yeah, it does feel like there's definitely a significant other that's showing up in the reading today that perhaps wants to come in and support you. And it feels like a fusion of generous receptivity in that support, not only for you, but also for them. It's like you have something that can help support their next level of growth, and they have something. It feels like what you can offer feels like more of an energetic or emotional, loving support, nurturing support, and what they can provide for you is a more tangible practicality, or it could go in reverse. So just um, feel into that. So when I move my body, I bust through all that blocks me from my truth. Health and vitality was the other card that flew out on the table before. This to me, I feel like there's a lot. It may it may be specific around physical movement and like exercise or having more time to work with your body and clearing, moving through things, or yoga, or integrating some sort of practice to get the energy and life force moving and flowing within you. But this to me also feels like there's a lot more movement that's happening than what you have experienced perhaps of recent times. Things are starting to move, which I think in return gives you more health and vitality and life force energy, just knowing that there is this new pathway and trajectory that's finally starting to open up and make sense and have that clarity and be able to really work with it and feel like I almost feel the energy of late night inspiration or being up late working on some sort of project because it's life giving, it's exciting, it's passionate, it is something that you want to spend or devote a lot of your time to. Mm. So this card says, I relinquish control. I simply let loose and allow myself to be more childlike. I think that comes in with that creative overtone or element of that artistic nature. I think when we get into our childlike energy or we connect with our inner child in particular ways, we become more authentic, we become more of our true self, we become in alignment with that truth and resonate, and we're allowed to become that more when it comes to other people within our life. So it may be bringing back something from childhood or bringing back memories or energy or essence that it's like, hey, I remember as a kid, like I had this idea or I had this vision or knowing that I was here to do something really, really great. And now it's starting to make a lot more sense. Now it's almost like downloading the blueprint or the map that has been laid dormant that you were perhaps highly aware of as a child and hasn't really come into fruition, or you may have felt elements of it kind of come online over the years, but now it's like the bigger picture. It feels like it's bringing all the aspects and elements together that you need to really charge forward in your life, and it feels incredibly fulfilling. Um, and I think it's going to bring a lot of joy to people around you in what you're creating, and probably inspiring a lot of people too. Um, Yeah, I surrender I surrender my desires, and I know that the universe has my back. So it goes in conjunction with the original card. So I think that's a good wrap up point of having that sun, that solar energy, that power that is kind of the driving force that supports you, that holds you in a stable place, that nourishes you, that nourishes your soul, and kind of pushes you like it's okay, take those steps, move forward, move forward. It is time now to actualize and to bring that into the world because the world needs what you have. And I think that in time you will look back and see that as a massive pivotal turning point in your own um, life, this in your own trajectory and what it is that is fulfilling for you in your humanness to experience more soul integration and more soul inspiring frequencies within your life. So I hope that that has helped. I hope that you enjoy that one or resonated with some. I'm going to just take a pause now. We're going to start to move into the next reading, which will be uh, B. So this little guy here, he's almost like a combination of a mantid being and a dragon. Inspired by all my mantis peeps out there. I've been thinking a lot about them and how important they are in some people's process around this whole melting pot or fusion of DNA. I've had a lot of visitations from the manta over the years, so they're an interesting race, shall we say. They have a lot of love. They don't necessarily understand the human aspect of our experience on you, but they're very focused, task oriented. So that might be the first sort of theme for this reading is being very focused and task oriented in terms of the activation of your own genetic system, your own DNA, or what is bringing more of the galactic component or aspect of your higher self on board. Just when I feel into that, like I feel this like this unlocking from the heart upward that's sort of coming online for you to be able to view or see or perceive yourself in a different light and maybe have what I call the holy shit moment of where you see your true self for the first time and it's a bit of an awestruck moment of realizing that you're much greater than perhaps what you have previously perceived from the very mundane humanness of your perception prior to that kind of critical point. Hang on. I've lost my screen. Just let me get it back, make sure. Yep, we're still recording good. But it feels like there, maybe to start off in the beginning of the month, there is a bit of inner conflict, mental conflict or turmoil. It feels like things within you are trying. So, sorry, the five of swords has come out first and foremost. And so instantly when I feel into that card, it feels like an inner, actually the words that want to come out is like an inner rage or an inner turmoil, or like injustice of some level that has perhaps been brewing within you for some time. I I feel like it could be in and around romantic personal relationships or connections, but it feels like something's bubbling to the surface that hasn't been dealt with, hasn't been um, perhaps expressed by you in a clear, concise manner. Perhaps it needs to come up and out to clear the air. And it feels like that's an important part of what it's like truth's coming to light, being able to express and to be able to communicate what's truly on your heart, what has been blocking or preventing you from communicating that truth. Feels like it's a bit of an eruption or an explosion that's kind of bound to take place. But it carries with it a real fieriness. So it can have the potential to kind of embody passionate overtone, if you will, but it feels like there has been kind of suppressed anger or resentment that wants to be kind of churned or alchemized into its higher octave, which is passion, excitement, and holding the torch or the flame within you to reignite that, having that moment, that holy shit moment of this is who I am. That was like the old version of myself that's kind of going through this death metamorphosis process, as you know. And I think that's kind of in the motions right now of like really addressing who am I and who am I becoming, a bit of an identity crisis. But the good thing is that we have the fortune card, so that creates a change, and entering into a new cycle, a closing out of the old, and that can be part of that inner turmoil that may be rising up. Is there is a lot that needs to clear out before you can really set sail in this unlocking of exploration of your own potential and consciousness, and really okay. This may not be for everyone, but I've just very it just like flew in the words of like prepare to have your own personal contact or connection. So it could be that you may have a spiritual experience that completely shifts and radicalizes the way that you perceive yourself in the world. It could be a being coming, like so many possibilities, but it could be connecting or meeting and greeting with a higher aspect of yourself for the very first time. And so when that occurs, it's like all that other stuff has the ability to shed and fade and clear away. And that new version of yourself comes online in a more purposeful way, pronounced way, more passionate way. And I feel like that in itself, it's like this rippling effect that has the potential to change your closest relationship dynamics, because it feels like it creates strength and bond, stronger strength and bond. And it gives the two of you a purpose of, it could be very much a shared experience. That's how I'm interpreting it now, is like you've got to the end of your, let's say, your 3D contracts of your dynamic or relationship, your connection, and it's like, which way, where we're going. And it feels like for some, it might just be a solo journey and experience for a while, but for others, it could be this shared experience that gives. It's interesting. My whole right side of my ear has gone completely, very strange. Oh, there's an unbalanced energy. Let me just. Yeah, it definitely feels like there's a contact experience making its way for you. So whether that's a individual experience or a shared experience, I think for some people watching this, it may be a shared experience with their partner that's going to allow them to move into deeper levels of a new relationship, connection, and pathway, and like some sort of passionate purpose of like after this experience, how you view yourself, how you define yourself, and what you make of it and what you do with it. Because it feels like perhaps being given a mission, being given something to create from. But there's still a critical element or component that needs to come into play. Feels like there's another piece of the puzzle, another aspect, another person, another being, perhaps. Perhaps there's a child that will come in, and then things are going to make much more sense. The reason that's so off-putting, sorry, it's like I've lost my balance all of a sudden. Um, the Three of Pentacles. So the Trinity energy coming in to help balance out. And it could be just for the two of you to be able to balance that new state perception or awareness and integrate that into the physical life. But I feel like there's someone, it could be a practitioner, feels like there's a external party that is going to help bring in that facilitation of making more sense of it so you can work with it in its most optimal capacity. Oh, oh, nice. We've got the Eight of Cups and the Ten of Cups. It feels like there's a very split energy in this. Like it feels like I'm reading for two different types or groups of people, because I feel in one sense for some, there is a parting of ways of a significant partnership or relationship, but then there is a welcoming in of the new. And for others, it's a choice point that then brings things in much more stronger, much more purposeful, because we've got the Eight of Cups that's come out, which is regret, remorse, nostalgia, looking back and feeling as though something is lost, permanently lost or damaged, that you can't get it back, or reflecting over past experiences, past events, and wishing or yearning for that to be or to come back in some way, but knowing that it can't, or it can't come back in the same way that it was. But we also have the Ten of Cups, which is a relationship success and being at the height of emotional fulfillment, having all your needs met, being in a balanced partnership and relationship, having that level of stability. But it feels like there's this very, I'm actually getting energetic overlays right now, like future downloads of very futuristic. This is so out of the box, but hey, just roll with me. Whoever the person is in question, it feels like there has been a disconnect because you've been on alternative timelines for quite some time. But something's coming, an event, a situation, a contact experience that's going to put you back on equal playing field. And it feels like this, and there's a lot of possibilities in this, but for some people, this might be someone that you haven't had in your life for, a long time physically, showing back up on your doorstep or coming back in and around, wanting to make sense of these experiences. It's like they've had some otherworldly experience, and like you're the go-to person, or you're the person that can hold a safe and non-judgmental space. So there's a lot of relationship themes going on in this one. So I would just, take your discernment with that one, because that may not be a doorway that you want to fully open, but there can be a level of care and compassion that can be supportive at that time. There's just, I literally am seeing all these, a bit like, what's that movie called? Um, Investigation Bureau, I think. I'm just seeing all these timelines intersecting and interplaying, and it's like convergence points coming together and like moving forward together. But then there's like this overlay of, I don't even know how to interpret or to articulate that. There's many overlays of relationship. I think for this month, especially through Libra season, just as an overall arching energy, really digging deep in terms of what you personally need, what your needs are, what you want, what you feel is in your highest expression for relationships, because it does feel like there's a lot of cogs, a lot of moving components. But potentially there is this huge uh, leveling up or opportunity for you to reach where it is that you actually intend, or moving towards. But it feels like settling or sorting bits and pieces out. I'm sorry that this feels so scattered. Um, that sort of came in unexpectedly, and I'm not. There is a partnership that will present or make itself known to you throughout this month that will be undeniable of where you're stepping forward to and heading in terms of your own connection. So if you've been on the fence or been undecided about your relationships and which way they're going, this feels like it's the month that will bring in, yeah, the clarification for you of where it's heading over the next coming few years. There is a higher intelligence that is lovingly guiding this, even though it feels like it's a little bit scattered or perhaps all over the place, as I feel right now, as I'm kind of reading into this. I feel like I've jumped from one thing to the next, but I think that there's key messages in here for a lot of different people that are on a similar timeline, but they have different personal circumstances. So just to recap, those that are currently in relationship where things have been a little bit of turmoil, it feels like there is lots of clearing or cleaning up within each individual to allow them to come into a greater sense or state of passion to be able to move forward and to start a new journey. For some, there's going to be like an echo coming back from the past of past connections showing up or reaching out, reconnecting. I almost feel like a Venus retrograde energy, but yeah. Um, and this could just be through dream state. It may not even be, in the physical, but it feels like it gives you this opportunity to really get clarity on where you want moving forward. And then we've also got this prepare for contact aspect or element to it. So that drives a more passionate purpose moving forward. Hmm. Got the Queen of Cups here that's just fallen out. Look at her. Just by that energy alone, it feels to me like it's got other worldly or other lifetime energies. Could be Lemurian, it could be Arcturian, Syrian, even Atlantean. But it feels like there's a bit of a karmic cleanup and then new movement forward. Sorry, there's a lot going on. All right. Let's go on to what have we got? Which deck are we working with here? This is a deck I've never used before, but it was gifted to me, so I'm very grateful. The universe has your back. In every moment, the universe is conspiring to bring me forward, right-minded thinking, and the energy of love. When I'm connected to my joyful presence, I attract support from the universe and from those around me. Coming back into, so we've got the pinks, the purples, the golds coming through as well. Purpose, passion, love, rekindling of love, maybe re-sparking a flame, a light, an activation within you. Having that moment of really deep remembrance of who you truly are. It could be flashbacks of memories. So the next two cards is I am the dreamer of my dream, and my outer experiences are a reflection of my internal condition. take in what resonates, but I look at that and I feel like something significant around the time of the full moon in terms of dream space or etheric space. So it may not necessarily be dream in itself, but at nighttime, um, instantly what I'm being shown is like laying in bed and just being downloaded with a lot of energy and information coming through all at once, which kind of upgrades the system, the cellular structure, the DNA, that then gives this shifting of the cycle that's moving through your experience. It changes something within you. There's something that unlocks and clears and shifts within you that then starts to give you that clarity or that new relationship pathway. All right, I'll get a couple more. I feel like this has been a long video, but hey, I did say it in the beginning. So, okay. I take the time to recharge my battery. The world needs my energetic light. I think that's a good message for everyone this month. I see. So yeah, just coming back to, you don't have to make all your decisions at once. You don't have to just allow yourself to go through these experiences and changes to get closer, connected to your focus and direction, and take the time to go into reflective place. And I think time of reflection, solitude is much needed for your integration of understanding. It feels like a lot of higher concepts or higher energies that maybe don't make sense at first, that you'll need that time to kind of sit with, to come into some more a human level understanding. All right, let's just get one or two more. I feel myself fading, whatever energy was coming in. Oh, how perfect. Releasing the anger from the past sets me free in the present. I think we spoke about that in the beginning of the reading. Being allowed to yeah, allowing yourself to let go of anger and resentment, lost opportunities, and being able to alchemize that into some sort of new direction, purpose, and passion. Let's get one more. My happiness can be measured by the level of my faith in love. So this could be the month that turns around, restoring your faith in love, purpose, and connection. So I'll leave that there. I hope that some of those messages have come through and have been helpful or supportive to some of you. And I feel like I've been reading layers in this reading alone. So thank you for moving through with me. All right, let's get into lucky last. Oh, I've got this one here. Artwork. See if you've chosen this particular piece of artwork. I'm just gonna just take a moment just to kind of separate myself from the past reading. Just coming into this one. Lightness, brightness, stability. Four of Pentacles. So a balanced home life, family life. I feel like if that's not something in your world right now, that's something that you're highly focused on or working towards. And also we've got the Three of Cups. So yeah, balance and equilibrium and being able to celebrate engagement, parties. And then we have the Star. So starting to reach that destiny fulfillment and being able to, the Star comes after the Tower. So the Tower is obviously the energy that moves through, that is the catalyst for necessary change to be able to inspire you to reach your ultimate destiny. So it feels like after the rubble, it feels like there's a tornado that's kind of blown through and there's like a lot of rubble and debris, and it feels like now through this month is like rebuilding on solid ground, solid formation, creating a new solid format or forming, terraforming, creating the most optimal or ideal pathway from what has been left. It feels like something has been pulled apart completely, but then there's this like settle into coming into a real place of equilibrium and peace within yourself, and then being able to start to rebuild, which allows you to reach the hand of destiny, or the hand of destiny reaches in and supports you in that endeavor. Ooh, interesting. A very different energy has come through using these cards because they're not ones that I often play with. What else wants to be known throughout the month of October? And of Pentacles. Abundance, financial rewards, unexpected windfall, surprises, feeling a sense of gratitude or contentment within your physical needs being met, coming into, I almost want to say coming into a larger sum of money, coming into like an unexpected um, financial peace. It's almost like being given the gift to be able to help rebuild. This, when I was talking about everything sort of being deconstructed and rebuilt, that feels like it's old energy. It doesn't feel like it's something in the um, perhaps recent past, but um, not so present in recent times. Keeps in the energy of a child in this reading. There's like this baby with like a halo, like a glowing aura, golden energy around it. So, for some who are perhaps looking at having children or inviting that into their experience, it could be something that is like everything's being reoriented to accommodate for that. Now, that golden child could be like the birthing of something new, not necessarily a child, but it feels like there's something big coming your way that's not foreseen by you or by prospective partner. And so there's this level of adjustment period that you've been moving through so that you can get into the best possible space to receive that arrival energy. And there does feel like there is this gifting or financial support that's coming in. I mean, that could come in like an upswing in your business, or it could come in like a job promotion or a new job. But it feels like whatever financial aspect has been a concern, there's a shift or a change in that's kind of matching this new arrival energy that's on the horizon. This feels like it wants to be spoken about. We've got the Ace of Swords, which is all about the sort of truth and communication. May not just be yet, but it feels like maybe even through this process of whatever is arriving on your doorstep or coming into your life that's a little bit unexpected will create something for you to it's like something for you to create from, whether that's through poetry or writing a book or music. creating something. It feels like this experience wants to be shared or spoken about. Hmm. It definitely feels unexpected. It's like you probably haven't been able to fully make sense of why there has been this like great shedding or rearrangement or changes that have been happening within your life that potentially some of it could have felt quite devastating at times, or high levels of being disappointed or disillusioned. It feels like this has been in progress for like quite some months, maybe even years perhaps. But it's like finally now that the finger of God, the life force energy of destiny is like reaching down and kind of giving this new beginning. We've got the Ace of Wands. This I see that as like sort of truth and holding the torch of light, life force or inspiration. And this feels like a real also rejuvenating energy. So whatever it's coming through feels fresh. It feels like a reset. It feels like a liberation of sorts. Um, and many things that want to sort of come together at once. So it may be that for years you have been, or it doesn't feel like years, it feels like an extended period of time, perhaps, where you have tried really hard to allow things to come together. And it felt like the more you try to push to create things to come together, the more it felt like things were falling apart until you get to this point now where it's like, well, everything's all scattered all over the place. And then it's like, well, then you then given this unexpected gift, this energy, this golden child frequency that's incoming for you. And this might be in the later part of this month. But it's like that is the piece that was being everything was being shed or torn down, if you will, broken down for you to be able to receive. We've got the fortune card again. I think it's popped out in every single reading. So it's really starting a new cycle, a new journey. It's like everything had to be broken down, rearranged, you know, just so many adjustments that didn't perhaps make sense, that felt like an inconvenience. And now it all starts to make sense and it starts to pull all the pieces and everything starts to come back in its new correct order. Big rearrangement happening here on each and every like personal level, it feels like. There's a huge level of divine intervention that feels like it's sweeping through this reading. So many unforeseen things, but desirable things coming in unexpected ways. Perhaps not unknown things, but coming in unexpected ways for you. Let's see what else we've got here. Obstacles are detours in the right direction. Well, that really sums up what we got here because it talks about all the scattered parts and what it feels like may have been obstacles, challenges, delays, and unforeseen, unfortunate circumstances. It has been reorienting you to where you're meant to be to fulfill your destiny, to come into this place. And it feels like once you get on the lighter side of things, it's going to spark this being able to speak about it, communicate it, express it in some way that's going to take you kind of next level, next step. Mm. Yeah. I do whatever it takes to get closer to consciousness. I feel like that may have been the mantra in your initiation and preparation time for this of what is coming through. But it's like it feels like when you've been in the eye of the storm and going through the challenges, it's like the only thing that you could really hold or cling on to was like leaning into trust, even if you didn't fully know or understand, leaning into trust that it was taking you ultimately to where you were headed, which is illuminating the high level of your consciousness and path and soul's purpose in this lifetime. The moment I begin to celebrate myself and focus on my success is the moment I begin living. The word celebration is probably the most highlighted word in that, because I do feel like this is a time for you to celebrate yourself ultimately, and what you've gone through, what you've been through, and where you're coming out the other side of. But yeah, living in that state of being in being in your successes, the ultimate windfall moment. I think that's what brings in that unexpected financial help. And we have stillness is the key to success. So maybe it's like also allowing yourself to take those necessary downtime and pause time and just really reflect on what has brought you to this quite pinnacle moment, and know that success is I think the success that you're reaching for is, it's more on a personal level than an outward level initially. I mean, I think you're going to really be able to bear fruits of your labor externally more and more, but it feels like the recognition of the success that you have obtained is over your own level of self-mastery and being able to get to this point and still being here, if I'm being quite honest. I think I'll park that one. As I said, I've never used these cards before. I thought I'd experiment with something new and different and see how it works. So let's just get one or two more cards here. We'll wrap up. My presence is my power. I love that. My presence is my power. And the final one is I can think my way out of fear. I feel like that may have been a previous mantra of yours. That doesn't feel like current energy at all. It feels like the presence, being in your power, being in your success, being in this newfound space of um, this rebuilding phase within your life ultimately is starting to come into to focus for you, and being able to really what's the word? Sorry, I'm having word glitches. Um, being able to relax into the reassurance um, of how far you've come, and being really grateful for all that you have witnessed and achieved and experienced up until this point, and know that you not only is it the fruits of your labor, but there's a lot of hard work that's gone into this, and you deserve to be at this point in your life right now. So, congratulations. I hope that this message has helped for some out there. I hope that it has inspired or resonated. And of course, if you wanted to connect with me through personal sessions, through some of my programs, all the things that I've mentioned throughout this video, all the details will be in the description box below. And if not, I will look forward to connecting with you next month or next video. Mwah. Much love, and I will see you all soon.